Hey, what's up, guys? This is my list of some badass cars. So let me know in the comment section below, what do you think of my list? Was it good? Was it bad? Or was it alright? So let's sit back and relax, and I'm going to break down what are some badass iconic cars. And we're going to get into the very first car, which is a Nissan 240SX. One of the most iconic cars ever made. They do have a 180SX, but I don't think that ever came to America. But this is one of the most beautiful cars that you can still buy. Most of them are in probably crappy condition with extremely high mileage, but you can tell there is a lot of passion put into this car. It's one of the most beautiful cars ever made, and it's that cheap, affordable sports car. Like I said, they don't make anything close to as beautiful as this. What car nowadays is that beautiful? And that blue is so sick. Like I said, it is a 240SX, and I think stock is probably around 170, 180 horsepower, but you never see them in this great condition. So for myself, I would have to say this is one of the baddest cars. Honda Civic Type R that you see right here in the blue. That's just a badass car. For being a newer car, that's one of the baddest cars. I would actually say it's one of the rarer newer cars that I actually find very appealing. It's very aggressive. It has 310 horsepower, but it only comes in a manual transmission. So I would recommend, if you're into getting a newer car and you want a sportier car, I would recommend checking that out. It looks very tough and aggressive. You know, I would drive the hell out of it if I had $30,000. It's just a phenomenal car. Like I said, I'm not really too fascinated with a lot of newer cars, but that is still a JDM Wizard with the VTEC engine that could rev out to like 8,500 RPMs. You're still going to have that car screaming, and that's what it does, and it does best. You know, I haven't seen a lot of them around because a lot of people are like, I'm not spending $30,000 on a Honda. They just go out and get the regular Honda Civic, but that is a badass looking ride. Honda Civic Type R. But what you know about that, you don't hardly ever see them anywhere, is a Mitsubishi Eclipse GSX. Okay, this car was made famous by the Fast and the Furious. It looks very, very similar to like a lot of those early 2000s or late 90s kind of sports cars. It's very affordable. You can get them on the market now for like $1,400, and you could really modify the hell out of them. The thing about them is they're known for having a lot of issues, but the problem is they have now made an Eclipse SUV, which is so stupid. It doesn't even look anything like this. If you're gonna get like a sportier car, all these on this list are what you need to pick up and what you need to buy. Like I said, if you have one of these, you're probably gonna love the hell out of it. The newer Eclipse, like the one they made in like 2006, 2008, it doesn't look all that great. This one is still the iconic Celica, the iconic Mitsubishi Eclipse, like they had in the Fast and the Furious. Just one of those badass looking cars. You're either a fan of it or you're not a fan of it. But this is number 4 on my list of badass cars. And next on my list is the Acura Integra Type R. One of the most aesthetically pleasing looking vehicles. It's very early 90s with those headlights. It's just a phenomenal car. And my buddy had one when I was in college, and we used to ride in that thing and just cruise. That, just looking at it, he had his lowered. His was a green. It had the stock interior, and it was a phenomenal car. He had the automatic version, but it don't matter. It was like 180 horsepower, and that thing hugged the road. It was very, very, very nice. And you all know I had to put a Nissan 350Z on this list because the Nissan 350Z is still in the same category as the Infiniti G35. It still has a 3.5 liter V6, 270 horsepower, and it's just a very beautiful, iconic car. And I think they're still either producing it or they're making the 370Z, which is the predecessor to this car. But overall, man, I would say it's one hell of a nice looking ride. I would definitely say if you're going to get a car that has JDM reliability, it's a great car to buy. Because realistically, what isn't to like about this car? And I would say if you're going to get the hard top. The soft top isn't really all that too great, to be honest. But hey, it is what it is. It's a Nissan 3. So this is a car that is very, very unique. They don't really make them anymore. And if they're not really modified like this dude Mitch's cars modified, I don't really find it that appealing. I think it's kind of an ugly ass car. But because he tricked it out, I'm putting it on this list because it's badass looking. And it's one of those cars that people don't know much about. They look at it and go, is that a Lamborghini? What is that? They don't know because most people don't know about it. It's a mid-engine car. The engine's in the back. And if you look at it, it's heavily modified with the TRD package. But tell me that's not a badass car that has a 2ZZ engine that has 180 horsepower. It's a really badass car. And if you look at both of them, that is a more stock one, the gray one, or the silver, whatever you want to call it. And Mitch's is a custom one with the black and red color scheme, and it just looks freaking awesome. But they go around, I think, like $5,000 or more just to buy them. They're kind of in the same realm as a Honda S2000, but tell me they're not badass looking cars. They're very underrated. Most people probably won't even believe I have this on this list because of how ununique they are. The stock one looks pretty okay, but I think Mitch's, which is the red and black, just pops so much. They are convertible. I think they look better with the hard top on, because I'm not a convertible type guy. But if you look at that, I think this one looks a hell of a lot nicer than that, because this is actually a Toyota TRD wing, and that looks very aftermarket. That looks very clean. But the MR2 is a badass looking car for being modified. If it's stock, it's ever made, ever driven. It's the Toyota Celica GTS. Everybody knows I had to put this bad boy on the list because it's so sick looking. I don't give a dang if people are like, oh, it's slow. No, it's a badass car. It's Toyota. It has the reliability. It has a 2ZZ engine. It comes stock with 280 horsepower, and it can rev to 8,500 RPMs, and it's just a fast, fun car, and you can trick the shit out of it. And a lot of people just assume it's fast. It's not fast, but it's definitely not slow, and it hugs the road. And it's just one of the most iconic looking badass cars ever designed. Like I said, if I had to pick a car to buy that would be reliable, it was tricked out to the specs I wanted, out of all the cars on this list, I would pick the Celica every single time. It's just badass. So you guys might say, well, Celicas are okay. No, the Celica is sick. It's like my dream vehicle. So everybody has that one dream vehicle, that one dream motorcycle, and everybody likes what they like. But for myself, I was just like, hell yeah, that's what I want, and that's what I'm going to get. And I plan on getting another one sometime soon that has the reliability. But as always, last but not least is the Ford Focus. The Ford Focus RS. Okay, I'm not a huge Ford person, but damn, that looks tough. I love Ford Blue. That's the same Ford Blue that they have, the Dude in Blue uses. But look at that for a hatchback with 310 horsepower or something. That looks so aggressive. I would drive the hell out of it, you know. It looks good. It sounds good stock. There's nothing even wrong with it. Like I said, if I was a Ford person, or if I was able to afford a brand new car, I'd probably get one because they're fun, affordable cars, relatively affordable. I think they're like $20,000 or more, but they're four-wheel drive if you get the four-wheel drive version. But they're quick, they're nimble, and they just look awesome. I'm not really a hatchback type of guy, but you cannot tell me that does not look like a badass ride. That's so sick. Out of all these cars on this list, I had to pick an American-made car because that is just tough. You can't tell me that's not a tough car. Whew. It just looks like, okay, look at this. Out of all these, like, modified cars, that one looks the most aggressive, the best. I'm not even a Ford guy. Like I said, I think Fords are kind of cruddy car company. But X, it's four-wheel drive. It has probably 360 horsepower. I'm not exactly sure what it is stock, but it is one of those most iconic cars. Most people who are car enthusiasts love that car and say it's one of the best cars ever made. It is a more designed as a rally car, so if you get it, you know for a fact it's a race car. So the Evo X is a legitimate race car for the streets, but hey, it's not for everybody. You're either an Evo fan or you're a fan of the Subaru WRX. So as always, that is my list of what I think is badass. Let me know if I missed any cars, and car that you probably guys weren't expecting to be on this list, which is a Genesis coupe made by Hyundai. I think it's a really nice looking car. I've actually thought about buying one because I've been looking at them and I think they're a nice looking car. I think a lot of people just don't like the way they look, or they look at it as it's a Hyundai. So why would you buy a Hyundai? Because they're not known for sportiness and sporty cars. But I think the Genesis Coupe is an actual nice looking car. Okay, I think it's very underrated. A lot of people just might buy them and never check them out, because there's a girl at my work who has a lime green one. It's all stock, and she goes, I bought it because it was a coupe. It was a sportier car. And I'm like, you know, it's a car that people trick out. And she goes, oh, no one tricks these out. It's just a normal economical car. And that's what a lot of people think about them if they're just a normal person. But I think Genesis Coupe is a nice looking. This car is probably really not a sporty car, but it is a Nissan Altima coupe, which I kind of think it looks better as a four-door sedan. But when they trick them out and modify them, they actually look pretty tough. Look at this. This is the coupe version of the Nissan Altima that I drive, and you can see it kind of resembles a Infiniti G35, as you can see right here. It actually looks really tough. Most people don't think of a Nissan Altima being tricked out, but when you trick them out and you put some aftermarket pipes on them, they scream. One day I was coming home from work and I could hear this car just behind me. Rawr, rawr. Well, what the hell is that, a Honda? No, it sounded so aggressive, like a muscle car, and it was a Nissan Altima SR screaming. I was like, damn. And usually you don't see Altimas tricked out, but that's just a sick ass ride right there, man. So as always, those are my takes on what I think are badass cars. What do you think is a badass car? Did I miss any car? Did I miss something that was way more crazy, like a Nissan, like a Skyline, or something like a STI? Or was my list legitimately badass? So as always, I'm your boy.